What is going on, guys? This is Scott McClendon Jr. here, and today we are doing a inside the mind of my mind. So yeah, this is basically where I go over what I was thinking, basically in the moment, and also some things that either happened that I just split-second decision made, and how the outcome went, what could have been better, what could have been worse. And yeah, so we're starting P2 in this 60-lap race at Michigan in the IndyCar IRL 18. And the leader is waiting until green to go, and we do go. So pretty much the game plan for this is to stay in line, but I realized that
Bluetooth is now on.
I don't have a crew chief, I don't have a spotter or anything on, so I'm trying to turn it on by voice activation, and that's why everything is silencing itself.
Sure. Starting crew chief 4.
And there you go, crew chief is back on. But the tricky part is I have to drive. As you can see, the window just minimized, or not minimized, but turned into window mode, so everyone's passing me right now because I'm trying to seriously turn on crew chief so I can know who's on the outside. I don't have to rely on my mirrors to be the judge of everything. At the moment, I'm in the window and I'm trying not to steer into the wall at all, so it's very hard, very tricky, but I did get it, and trying to find out where crew chief is. This makes it very, very tricky. It was not super easy either because my wheel was in the way, so I couldn't really see what windows were popping up on the bottom of the screen. So as you can see, I'm sort of struggling.
Radio check.
As we finally got the spotter and crew chief on, and someone's into the wall. So at this point, we're gonna full screen this window. There we go. And yeah, it just goes a little bit better as we pass another car. I can't really see. The screen on my screen is very small right now in the editing, so I can't really tell what names they are, unfortunately. But
Galinas is leading the race.
we will continue on. So with that little hassle thing out of the way, we almost understeer into the wall with aero push. That's also something you have to keep track of, especially in these cars. You're going so fast that air maneuvering onto the wing is very, very important. So if you can find any sort of clean air and use that to your advantage, that is very, very important. So it's vital to winning this race. Not weaving. I mean, you can weave, but it kind of hurts your speed, you know? If you're going to weave strategically. Don't be dramatic about it. That's what I tell people all the time, but crew chief just told me that's my quickest lap. Don't even know what I ran, but yeah, right now, leaders are fighting a little bit harder than normal. So we're going to try and push to the front. That way we don't have to sit behind this dirty air. That's the main objective. Get out of dirty air. That is my main objective from the get-go. Because dirty air is so treacherous here. It's not as bad as Iowa.
We're matching race pace. E5. That's a new fastest lap for Perez. 52.7.
So it's not as bad as Iowa, but it's definitely still there. I mean, you're going like 210 miles an hour down the straightaway in an IndyCar at least. And when you add a ton of downforce and a ton of air onto the car, it just sticks. It really sticks. But when you take that away with cars in front of you disturbing that air, it makes it very hard to stick. So that's why you see me here kind of arcing in a little bit later going for that middle groove
Inside.
as we just barely
Still there, still there.
not hit the guy on the inside. It was
Still there.
pretty
All
intense,
clear inside.
but I'm always trying to find that little sliver of air. Doesn't matter how small it is, but if I can gain any sort of time, conserve my tires as much as I can without losing pace or lose tempo, that helps. That's why I'm arcing and watching the cars in front of me. They are apexing at different angles, but if you could figure out where you can be, that's the best place. So, we're sitting in P5, trying to find the air. We do a pretty good job of that. Everyone's pretty much mostly on the high side. As two people go into the wall, we take evasive action and go towards to the bottom groove. And that is basically the end of that run.
Pace car is out. Line up single
barely
file
got
behind car
any
number
sort of
9. Safety
long
cars out.
distance.
Pits are closed.
And basically we're gonna take our tail off and we're gonna pit into this big box.
Pit lane speed limit is 55 miles per hour.
Now this is something that I remembered after watching someone stream. This is the best way. You can still do this without the pit limiter and hold it sort of at the 56 mark, but this is a more consistent way to keep yourself from speeding. So if you want to use it, feel free. It's a very useful tool that I use, or useful way that I use to keep the speed up without speeding as we exit pit road in P number 2. So that puts us back to where we started at the beginning of the race. So it makes it a little bit interesting to see how well we do. After all, we are the first car that will see where the leader goes, or when he does. And it's a long, patient game. You don't want to be too far back because
Green flag.
getting that draft is very important. That's why I'm following him down. Everyone's following each other down, snaking down behind.
Two.
Some people don't go to the apron, and I'm not sure entirely why, but as you'll find out later, you don't want to push that limit of the apron too absolute much, as the leader literally goes down to the bottom of the white line, below the white line. And I'm kind of confused by that because I don't expect that at all. So I do follow him down there. It's not too bad. I mean, that is the apron for exiting anyway. So we make a move on the outside, and we're basically going to try and get as much clean air as possible, while also providing a bigger run because we have a better and longer arc coming out of the corner. And you obviously don't want to be too close to the car on your inside if you are trying to pull away from them. If they're ahead of you, yes, be as close as you can without touching the side draft, but as you can see, we're super close, and then we fan off just a little bit just to break that side drafting.
32.9. The guy behind has just done a 32.7.
And that's really what you have to do in order to gain positions. Obviously, two cars side drafting slows them both down, and the car behind just gets a huge run. So you'll see a good example of that after a couple laps here, but it's a really fun track, really fast track, as we pretty much throw it down there on the inside. 33.0, that's pretty good considering we're on the high line and slightly in dirty air. So we basically watch our mirrors here. We don't defend all the way, but we defend halfway. Learned that in karting. It's pretty nice.
Still there.
But yeah, it's really good because you can use your dirty air. Either they go to the inside and overshoot the corner, or they go to the outside and
32.9.
they basically can't really turn in as much as they want because of that disturbed air. That's how much it's really, really important to master that. as we're getting a little bit of side draft from not only the inside but the outside as well. And George is trying to get the lead back, but we are also trying not to get passed by 2 cars, which is not easy, especially when you're getting side draft from both sides. At this point, I'm looking to my left and right, making sure I have room, because the guy behind me is trying to throw it up the middle, and I don't want that. So I just hold my line. I don't give him much space, and I can't really move down, so we just try and make this 3 wide here. It's a little sketchy, but it gives us a better entry into the corner because we can let off, put the front of the nose down to create more downforce to the front, giving you more grip in the front tires, giving you the ability to turn a lot more than others and have a more consistent run out of the corner. So little things like that is really, really important. Even if you are 3 wide, even if you do have dirty air, does not mean that you can't get out of that situation. There's always a slither, at least a slither, as I almost lose it on the apron.
Line up,
That's
single
not
file
at all good.
behind car number 3. Safety cars out, pits are closed.
But basically, we exited pit road into 2nd place again. My goodness, I don't know what they're doing, but apparently my pit crew is doing something right. So, pretty proud of them today, and it's doing pretty good. So, we're gonna sit here and basically do this restart once again. We are getting pretty close to halfway. Leader is kind of being a little weird with where his car is being positioned.
Green, 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 let's
But
go.
he does go a little bit before the green flag, which is always a preference. You know? You don't want the guys behind you to have a huge jump on you, the leader, mainly because, as you can see, I'm getting a huge run as it is, with me being almost 4 car lengths behind him to start off. And as you can see, he's weaving to try and break that off. It works sometimes, but it really depends on the situation. As we stay on the inside, we pretty much have that inside covered. Like I said, I do not want to side draft, so I try and go low. I didn't go quite to the apron all the way. That was mainly to side draft off the person behind me who was shooting it up the middle. So now we're going to have a good old 3 wide tandem again.
3 wide in the middle.
This is deja vu all over again.
Hold your line.
But
Clear outside.
we get a little bit of a theoretical shove out of the way, you know. But that's hard racing. That's not a problem. I'd do the same exact thing
You've just done
if I'm clear and I want to put dirty air on them. You know? That's what you have to do to win these races. Put dirty air on the car behind and wear out their tires and save yours at the same time. It's very difficult to do, but it's a possibility after all, so why not try it? As we hold the outside, knowing that he has a slight aero disadvantage because he's next to us side drafting,
You're in the lead.
disturbing that right front of their front wing, so usually that makes them push a little bit. It's very easy to understeer in this setup. This is Indy fixed as well, so these setups are pretty stable for the most part. They've been stable for the past few weeks. I'm actually recording my voiceover on this during 13th week, so it's always interesting as we side draft and pull up again.
P2.
You always want to put more air on that back wing because that just slows the car in front of you down. So it's very awesome that you can practice this in iRacing. It really gives you a sense of practicing that good aerodynamic racing line, as we literally put all the dirty air in front of both of them. They did not lift at all, as I can tell. That's one thing you have to do if you're in dirty air.
You're leading.
Don't just flat it out, because you can definitely screw yourself on exit pretty badly. As we have one guy trying to pass us. We defend the inside just enough so that he goes outside. And we pretty much stay on this inside groove, second groove up, technically. Because the second groove is initially the best groove at this track. You can run the bottom, but it's not as grippy, and you can burn tires a lot quicker.
Okay,
So,
Scott, lap times are pretty consistent.
as you can tell, we are very consistent with defending. That was more of a me trying to, I guess, defend, but at the same time not get ran over. Because I didn't want to get turned if he did go for the move there. So I just stuck it on the second groove away from the wall. So you can do that too. There's all types of defending types of takes that you can take, basically. I said take about 3 times. That's right. But he's still side drafting us, so we try and look to our right, and we realize, oh no, here comes George again. He gets the move done for now, but then I cross back over because he full sent it into turn 3 and 4. So we kind of have to sit back, mainly because that inside line is not as fast. So we arc the corner as much as we can to preserve our tires. That's the main reason we arc the corner. Because if we just straight shot it and stay in dirty air consistently, that's going to screw our front tires completely, and the rear end is going to get abused too much trying to use the weight and the rebound of the rear end to get the car to turn. So
think about 25 laps remaining on this tank.
you really have to be cautious of that.
33.5.
33.5 is not that bad. Especially considering dirty air and everything else. It's a decent time. So we're doing pretty good finding that clean air, but you also want to stay behind the cars because the draft is so important here. So it's finding that fine line of not getting wrecked, trying to make it 3 wide and getting blocked. Yeah, what was I saying? Oh, basically, draft is very important here, but being in clean air is also very important here. So it's a fine line of, making sure your wing has enough air to make the corner, but you also want to make sure that your car has essentially a beautiful, beautiful run. Holy crap.
You're now in the lead.
And that is what I was talking about earlier, about how 2 cars side drafting just makes a huge door for the person behind, because it's basically a huge punch in the air for that car behind to just slingshot. So that's a perfect example of that. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that quite nicely. The only issue with doing that is people behind watch that same exact move. So if you give yourself away a little bit, it's very easy to see that again. So we'll see if we see that again later in the race or not. But yeah, one thing's for certain, people do watch, people do adapt during the race, and they adapt for future races as well, seeing how you drive. So it's all a chess game. Yes, I listened to Bobby Cruz's podcast, and yes, Keith definitely says it's a chess game. It's definitely a chess game. Trying to figure out who will win and who will take down their king. As we defend the inside again. It's not too bad, pretty decent. We go all the way down to the apron to break that draft and go the shortest distance around. Yeah, it's very, very easy to really screw that up because, as you can see, I'm weaving, but not crazily weaving across the track. I'm doing it strategically. Now we hold this line. He can't really push up because we're there. So he has to stick in dirty air, and it makes it harder for him to get out of the corner. Racing is
Good consistency. Keep him coming. You're
a
leading.
very demanding,
Your lap time was 33.1.
brain frustrating thing, you know? Especially when you're the driver going 210 plus miles an hour down a straightaway and then taking about 5 Gs in a corner. It's amazing how these guys actually do it. I don't know if they actually come to Michigan. I don't think they come to Michigan, the Indy cars anyway. But I know at Charlotte they're taking at least 5 Gs to the head, which is pretty insane for an oval. And they're still doing like 215 at least down the straight. So this is why I love IndyCar so much. It's a combination of aerodynamics. I mean, pretty much all racing has that, but IndyCar is a lot more based on aerodynamic drag and having enough wing to basically go through the corner flat, but not sacrificing your rear tires because of it. And then you got to worry about the draft. You have to worry about people getting runs on you, defending the run, breaking the draft. It's very, very hard to do, especially if you're just running 2 mirrors and not a simulator back cam mirror, which would probably be pretty cool.
You've just done a 33.3.
But I don't know how that would work, especially now with the Indy cars having that windscreen now. I mean, I guess you could have something like Tony Stark, you know? Good old Tony Stark technology in the windscreen as we side draft George. Side drafting is so important if you want to stay in the lead, man. But if you do it too much, you could potentially, you know, lose out.
You're in the lead.
But a lot of it is basically keeping your brain focused, keeping your hands from doing too many dramatic movements.
Got a car outside.
As we defend the inside again. This is the reoccurring theme, defending the inside.
Outside clear.
On this channel, we only go towards the fronts. We don't sit back, we don't relax. We push consistently and push efficiently. Now,
Okay, Scott, that's good
Monday night.
consistency. Keep it up. The track temperature's
I think
falling.
I pushed
It's
a
now
little
43
too early
Celsius.
because one pit window was pretty much opening up. And yes, I didn't want to be behind the 47, but
Full course yellow. Be
could
careful.
have just sat there, honestly, and waited and been a little bit more patient. I should have been more
Pace car is
patient,
out. Line up single file behind
and
the
that
pace
was my
car.
issue
Full
with
course yellow. It's
going
closed.
through wide and then having that checkup with the 34 car. As we pit again, right on the dot. Look at that. Beautiful pit crew getting on these tires. I love these animations. They're awesome. 7.2 it looks like seconds, which is not shabby at all. It's pretty good. So we actually exit into the lead again. So now it's our turn to literally have a go at starting the field. We're at least at 40 laps finished so far. Can't really see. Screen is very small. But here we go. We're gonna delay it just slightly
Green flag. We're racing.
and then weave just a little bit because the draft is very powerful, especially in these cars, with how little downforce they actually run on these things. I mean, of course you have the differential and the diff below the car sucking it to the ground, but you also have the wings on the top, and as we defend and weave to break that draft. As you noticed, I weaved, but I set myself up to be able to defend that inside.
Hold your line.
I knew where he was, I knew where he was coming from,
Still there, still there.
B2.
and we're making sure that we are clear from behind, not going through wide. It's very easy to
Still
get
there, still there.
sent into a wall because
Hold your line, still there.
you misjudge a corner. So
Line.
as we're basically
your line.
2 by 2 here, defending for this
your
lead.
line. Clear outside.
It's very hard to defend for the
Car
lead
low,
when
inside.
tires don't really wear.
Still there.
And I was noticing that throughout the week. I've won at least 3 of these races
New
out
fastest lap
of
for inside.
6 or
Clear
7,
low, clear low.
and they've all been in top split. So a lot of the difference between me winning and not winning was either I didn't qualify and started at the back and possibly got wrecked out, or
Outside. Still
I
there.
was not able, as we see the orange car do the exact same thing
Still there.
that I did earlier. Like I said, people
Clear
watch
inside.
That lap was
and
at 33.0.
they learn.
Got a
So
car near outside. You are clear
it
all
was
around.
pretty nice to look at him,
Inside.
and it was like, oh
Still
no,
there.
he's doing exactly what I'm about,
Still
or
there.
what I did earlier, and it's pretty
Line.
insane.
You're clear inside.
Pretty insane how he did the exact same move, but it's racing. I'm not the only person who could do that,
Car
so
outside.
gonna get a run,
Still
shift
there.
into 6th gear to
Clear
gain
outside. Got
a
car
little bit more
outside.
top end speed as we run
Hold your line.
into
Still there.
the orange car,
Clear up
not
top.
on purpose. I don't think we have any damage, but we are
Car
getting
down low.
very physical
Still
in these
there.
closing laps right here.
Still
Everyone
there.
wants to be in the lead, but I
Hold
don't
your
really even
line.
know if it's the best bet to be in the lead, as we have
your line.
another car on the inside,
Still there.
and I'm checking to make sure he's not
Still there.
super
Still
close, but at the same time I want to side draft,
there.
and it's very hard when they're weaving
there.
back and forth.
That lap was at 33.1.
That's why
Hold your line.
it's basically
Clear down
very
low.
handy to have that look left and look right button. As we, yeah, in this moment I realized, holy crap, he is defending like
Outside.
crazy. We go on the apron,
Line.
and I don't know if that damaged us because we
Hold
were
your line.
hopping
Still there.
and scraped just a
Still
slight
there.
touch on that lower
Clear
apron.
outside.
And right now I'm thinking, holy camole, dude. I feel like I'm damaged, but the car seems fine. We're gonna
B3.
continue
You just
on,
done at 33.1.
and it looks like we're fine for the
That's good
most part,
consistency.
but
Keep it up.
you'll find on later that our speed just got a little bit worse. We still have speed, but not as much as we did before, so now it's making it a lot harder to pass. As you can tell, I don't know if my
Outside.
front wing got damaged, but it's a lot harder to set up
You're all clear
that
high.
inside pass. But this is all learning. This is all learning experience, especially when I start my Lionheart racing. I will be racing in the Lionheart Retro Series this year, and that's very close. We tried to defend, but he was there already, so we tried to back out of it, and we nearly touched. We didn't touch, but we almost touched that wall, which would not have been great. We try and stay to the bottom of the track to gain the
Lap
most
time was 32.9.
we can. 32.9 seems to be the trend of the speed, especially if you're in dirty air or by yourself. But 32.9 is usually where you want to be in terms of times.
Car down
As we
low
get sent
inside.
underneath us,
Still there.
we
Still
have
there.
no chance of getting that clean air on the
Still there.
inside, and we get basically trained
Still there.
by not only one, but two cars.
Clear
So
low. Clear low.
we're basically back up
P5. That lap was
to
at 33.1.
P5. We lost 2/10 that lap, getting trained. So we pull up ahead. We just nearly get ran in the back of, trying to slot in line, and it's really difficult. People are starting to push now. It's basically really, really close to the end here. We're just making this a little bit more difficult. People are starting to push. People aren't really giving us much space. So, at this point in time, I'm a little frustrated with everything. But we're continuing to push. We're finding that as much clean air as we possibly can.
Inside.
As we try and go
Hold your line.
inside, but we realize that we're too close anyway.
Clear down low.
So we just go to the outside and sit back at 5th for now. It's very hard to pass, especially when everyone is aggressive.
Push, we can get this guy.
Outside.
So we go super aggressive
That was
and
at 33.0.
quicksand up the inside.
You're there.
As we're getting a huge amount of aero push, not good.
Clear outside.
Oh boy, we tried to defend, but we
Clear
were
high.
way too late on that defense. And we kind of half committed there, so
Clear high. Clear high.
we got sent into the apron yet again. And I think at that moment, we definitely received a little bit of damage, if not to the bottom of the car, to the right rear of the car, just from that hit. So we're sitting in 8th, and right now I'm a little bit upset, but we're going to continue on, like I said, and we're going to try and continue to push on. We're sitting in the draft, trying to pull. We need to stay in 5th gear because 6th gear is not going to be as quick.
Full course yellow.
And the yellow comes out, ending the race under yellow. As you can see, my frustration in the camera.
Closed. His car is out. Line up single file.
Really
behind
upset
car
to
2.
have this finish
Good
because
race, boys.
I was basically in the top
Good
2
race, guys. Good fun.
most of the race. So, really disappointing to start 2nd. I'm just congratulating, I believe that's George, that won. I'm just congratulating the leader, and that basically ended the race with us finishing in P8. So, it's always interesting to see how all these races plan out, but it's always good to look over these too, because I learned so much just from watching back my races and seeing what I did wrong. Because you can look at a lot of what you do, and this is another reason why I bought a camera for the karting season, is to watch what I do, watch my sessions, watch my lines, understand what I'm doing wrong and what I'm actually doing right, and try to duplicate the right things and not do the wrong things, and just learn from them. Learn from the mistakes, but continue on. That's what this is about, you know? You learn every race, and you learn every time you step out on track, regardless of if it's in the sim or if it's in real life. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new. And we will be back with some more inside the mind of Scott McLendon Jr. because I quite frankly like this, you know? Kind of gives me pretty much an excuse to not have an excuse for not watching my replays and watching what I'm doing wrong. So, yeah. As always, drive safe, be smart, but most of all, have fun. God bless, take care. And I will see you guys in the next video, or stream, or broadcast. Tune into LSR. Oh, sorry, not LSR TV. Tune into Race Spot TV for the RSR series, and I will also be racing in the GSRC Lionheart Retro Series. So tune into those, and I will catch you guys later. Thanks again. Adios.